Hey, my name is Sean from Edgewood Hobbies. Welcome to my video. Today I'm going to be making some space ghosts, space haunt type things. So I'm going to bash a few kits together here. I'm going to be using primarily the Raumjäger Infantry by Wargames Atlantic. I'm also using the part of the Cultist box from Stargrave by North Star Miniatures, and I'm using the zombies from Mantic. Now I got these in a set from North Star called the Undead Encounters, where they basically put the Mantic zombies, ghouls, and skeletons all in one pack together. It's a great set. I'll link all these in the description, by the way. And then I might use the Citadel skulls if I need to, but we'll see when we get there. I haven't even used this yet. Just got it recently. I looked at it, but I haven't used it. So I'm planning to make 10. Planning to make 10 space soldier type deals. So I'm just gonna start with one and see how I'm feeling, get an idea for how it's going, and then I'll go from there. All right, so now that I have all my pieces clipped, I'm going to use the side of an X-Acto knife to clean up all the mold lines. Now the way I do mold lines is mostly like everyone else, but I differ a little bit. Rub the edge of the blade along the mold lines to scrape them off. Of course, the head's the hardest part because it's so tiny. So once I get the mold line scraped off, there's still some markings left, so I take some Scotch-Brite and I rub the line with Scotch-Brite. And that cleans it right up, makes it super smooth. Put some microfine scratches on it, but those get covered by the primer. Then I take a brush, usually a toothbrush or a brush I'm not going to use to paint with, and dust off the powder from the Scotch-Brite. And that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up the rest of these mold lines, and then I'll get back to you for assembly. All right, so I'm back. I cleaned up all the mold lines on all the parts. Now on this arm, I cut the arm in half at the elbow, and then I glued a little armature wire in there so I can mold some green stuff in there. So I wanted the arm to be faced kind of down instead of pointing straight out. So did that. And then on the other arm, I cut the arm off at the shoulder pad, and then I drilled a little hole and I inserted the skeletal arm. It looks a little goofy, but I think it'll look good on the model. So now it's time to put it together. So I use plastic cement because I like the bond it gives. Some people like super glue, which is fine, but I like the plastic cement when I'm working with just plastics like this. So it's got this weird little like frill thing coming off at the top there, which is actually going to prevent it from going on the model. So I need to clip that off. This is definitely finicky. The socket on this shoulder just does not fit well at all. It just doesn't want to go on there. It's just not flush at all. It's like got this whole piece sticking off the top that's just like made to make it not fit. It doesn't make any sense at all. Okay. That should work. Gonna need some serious gap filling on this, but it's better than it not fitting at all, I guess. Just gonna adjust the arm a little so that it's facing a little out. I don't want it right up against the body. Sorry for getting off camera there. I have to get better about that. I'm really bad at staying in frame. Okay, now while that's drying up a little, I'm gonna pull out the green stuff and I'm gonna fill in this elbow area, and I'm also gonna make a neck so I can stick this head on. Now when you use green stuff, you gotta get it out of the box. Now when you use green stuff, it comes in a roll like this, blue and yellow. Don't use the middle piece where they touch because it can cure in the container. So just cut off a little bit. Leaving alone the middle section. Trying to get the putty off my knife. And just mix until it's a nice green color. Get your fingers wet if you want, and it won't stick to you. Also, when you're working with it, your tools should be wet so that your tools don't stick to the putty either. That looks pretty good. So now I'm just going to take a little piece and I'm going to make a neck. Really, I'm just going to make a ball. And then I'm going to drop the ball. Much better. It's kind of tough because it's got this big wide area for the helmet to go in. So when you put this little head in there, it just looks really, really small. But I think it's okay. Put the head there. Just going to try and straighten up the back of the neck a little. Actually, by pulling the head up a little, it's stretched out the neck slightly. And I think it looks even better. Plus, it pulled it in on the back a little. So it's not, I don't have to straighten it out like I was gonna. So there he is so far. Nice little soldier with a zombie face and a skeleton arm. So I'm gonna stick him to his base and put his second arm on, and I will be back in a second. So I decided to come back early and show you some stuff about my basing here. So I add little platforms to the bottom of the feet, which elevates the model above the base. So when I add my basing compound around it, it looks like he's standing on the base instead of the base being applied around his feet, as is common with GW stuff. People tend to do that. So when I super glue it on here, I'm gonna put, so I use plastic glue. I just use little pieces of sprue on the bottom of his feet to elevate him up. Now I'm using super glue to attach him to the actual base. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the super glue right where I want it. And I'm going to give it a few seconds to dry. Then what I'm going to do is add more super glue around the feet. And then I'm going to add baking soda. Now for anyone who doesn't know, baking soda and super glue react and get super hard, like plastic. Some people call it plastic weld because you can kind of weld plastic with it. It makes the super glue dry pretty much instantly. Makes it cure pretty much instantly. It's really cool. It's a neat technique. Works for all kinds of things. The front here has a smaller contact point, so it's having a hard time drying. So I'm just gonna sprinkle some baking soda on there, and that'll help it set up enough for me to let it go. Now I can glue his arm on. Now this might not look like much, but the paint job is where it's really gonna pop. It does look a little silly with this big bulky outfit and that little arm, but I think it'll look good when it's done. I'm gonna do a few more. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead right now. I'm gonna do probably just 4 more. I don't think I'm gonna do 10 today. I'll try to knock out 5, but I'm gonna do 4 more, and then I'll come back and show them to you. All right, so I'm back. So this was the first guy I threw together. The second guy I did. Give him a nice screaming skull face. He's got a zombie hand on this side. I had to finagle it a little to make him holding the rifle facing down. But I like how he came out. This one I'm not super happy with. He's pretty cool. His midsection kind of looks a little weird. But he's got like the military pants and belt. And then his torso is just flesh, missing an arm. It's kind of cool. This guy is carrying a pipe, I guess. I'm gonna paint it up like metal. It'll just look like a bent pipe, I suppose. I was kind of running out of things to do. I didn't want them all to have the same gear, so. But he's got a cool rotted skull, fleshy face thing going on. This one's my favorite. It's just like a ranger type guy or a scout with it's like a zombie head. But I realized while I was doing this that I'm not a huge fan of the Raumjäger set. I mean, I was just having him hold the rifle like normal, and I still had to green stuff his shoulder because it just didn't want to work. The natural position of the model wants to hold the rifle up in front of its face, which doesn't really make sense to me. But I'm mostly going to be kitbashing anyway, so it won't really matter how they're supposed to fit, I suppose. So the basing compound, I've changed it a little since my first video. It's drywall joint compound, craft sand, tacky glue, and baking soda. I don't really know if the baking soda technically does anything, but I was going for like multiple grits with the sand and the baking soda being like different grits. I don't know. So I'm going 1 part joint compound and 1 part baking soda to 2 parts tacky glue and 2 parts craft sand. Just mix that up really good. So now I'm gonna spread it on the models using color shapers, which are little clay sculpting tools. I bought these a long time ago. They're kind of too soft to sculpt green stuff. They just like don't even move it, but they work really well for this. So that's what I use them for. So I'll show you one and then I'll cut to them being finished. Hold it like this. And then I just grab some off like that and stick it on there. And then I run it up under the feet. I just really don't like the look, you know, when people put the model right on the base and then put astrogranite debris or whatever they're using on the base, then you end up with it looking like the ground is next to the feet instead of under the feet. And it's just not a look that I'm a fan of. I know a lot of people do it, and that's fine. It's not what I'm going for, you know? I'm not going to judge anyone who does it that way, because I know that's the way most people do it. It's just not what I want my models to look like. I take my finger and clean up the edge a little bit. That way I don't have to chip it off later. And there it is. So when the base dries, and then whenever it's nice out, I'll go out and prime the thing. We'll prime them. Yeah, so I'm gonna finish up the other 4 real quick, and I'll show you in a minute. All right, and they're all done. So I've got all 5 of them based up. I've also got 10 GW Night Haunt chain rasps that I did yesterday. I'm probably gonna paint these all at the same time, since my paint scheme is about the same for both, and that might not make sense, but it will when you see me do it. So I'll probably paint them next week. Yeah, so I should have said at the beginning, these are probably for Stargrave, Joseph McCullough's new game, through Osprey Publishing and North Star Military Figures. I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of ghost spirit zombie thing in Stargrave that I can use these for. If not, they'll just be cool models. But yeah, so these are for that. If you want to pick up Stargrave and haven't yet, they're doing this awesome sale right now where you can get a discounted price to get the book and models all together. Plus there's a bunch of like spend goals that have already all been unlocked, so you can get a ton of free stuff. It's called the Nick Starter. So I'll link that in the description below if you're interested. Great products, great games. He made Frostgrave too, which is like the fantasy version of Stargrave, so it's a lot of fun. So if you want some awesome models at a good price and a bunch of free stuff, then check out the link in the description. But yeah, so that was it for today. I'll probably paint these at the beginning of next week. I want to put out 1 video a week. My wife and I went away last week, and then this week I got my first vaccine shot, so I was feeling kind of weird for a couple days and didn't want to do anything. So, but yeah, I got around to it today. So anyway, thanks for sticking around if you did. If you want to check out my website to see what I use for all my like gear and tools and stuff, I'll leave a link to that in the description. It's edgewoodhobbies.com. If you'd like to check out my Facebook and Instagram, I'll leave that in the description as well. But yeah, so subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this, and leave me a comment if you like it, especially if you didn't like it, because I'd like to know what I can do different. But yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye.